past, I've been slowly dissecting the procedure of replacing the water pump and timing belt on an M20 into bite-sized manageable pieces. If you're interested in the playlist, click here. Today marks the very last video in the series. We'll finally be completing the job and moving on to something else. Let's get to it. With the fan clutch and the belts out of the way, it's time to remove the water pump pulley. There are 4 10mm bolts that are holding the pulley on. And with the distributor cap off, we can remove the upper timing cover. This is held on by 3 13mm bolts, and their locations are here. My upper timing cover was actually cracked, so I needed to replace it. However, instead of getting a direct replacement, I realized that there were different versions of the cover, so I opted to get the one that I thought was the sleeker and better looking one. This one had no through holes, and I liked the addition of the BMW emblem. Next on the list was to remove the harmonic balancer and the crankshaft pulley. The easiest way to get at this is from underneath. Using a combination of a 22mm wrench and ratchet, you can reach the 6 13 bolts to remove them both. Removing this exposes the lower timing cover. It has 1 bolt at the bottom, located here. Also, be gentle and remove the speed sensor from its housing. Now, this can be a little scary. You need to rotate the crankshaft with that 22mm wrench until the timing marks align on both the top and the bottom. The top one is here, and the bottom one is here. Once these marks are lined up, it's time to remove the water pump. At this point, you should ensure that all hoses connected to the water pump are removed. Then, we can unbolt it. Here are the locations. Be aware that the tensioner spring is going to fall out. Okay, something just fell in. Next, we need to remove the tensioner. There are 2 bolts shown here that we need to remove. And with everything out, we can finally remove the timing belt. Try your best to keep everything in the same position when removing the belt to make sure the timing marks are still aligned. Now, before we start putting everything back together, let's take off one more thing and replace it while we're here. We're going to be replacing the camshaft seal. By using a Torx head, you can remove the sprocket, and once this is removed, you can remove the 2 10mm bolts that hold on the seal. When you replace this, make sure you replace the O-ring and the seal itself. By taking a towel or mild Scotch-Brite pad, clean where the old gasket was. This will ensure you have a clean mating surface. This also holds true for the water pump gasket. By taking a straight blade, you can scrape any remaining gunk in order to give your new gasket a nice clean home. And speaking of new gasket, you might be wondering where to source these parts. I bought mine from ECS Tuning. I'll leave a link in the description. But you can get the kit from a lot of places. This kit, however, did not include the camshaft gasket, so you'll have to find that. Now, the easy way would be to start putting everything back together. But the easy way is to make things better than I found them. So before putting anything back together, I got all the parts that can be painted, cleaned, beaded, painted, and cured. Now it's time to put everything back together again. Instead of going through it, you can just watch this video in reverse, and I'll leave the torque specs in the description. Thanks for watching, and see you soon!